Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so of course, first of all, I want to send love, peace, and condolences to everyone affected by 9/11. Obviously, this has been a pretty long time. A lot of people who are watching me were not born yet or very small when this happened, but believe it or not, there are still people who are very much traumatized by the events that took place that day. Um, it was a very, very serious wake up call for a lot of us Americans um, as it pertains to an event that would make it so that everyone would come together no matter what mindset, no matter what circumstances you're from or what have you. That made you put an American flag on your car. That made you wear shirts with American flags. That made you really put a certain level of respect on patriotism that um, we haven't seen since, to be honest with you. And it was because we all went through that together. It was because there were moments in time where everyone was watching as things were unfolding, and we all witnessed that together. We all went through that together, and it was in such a um, obviously massive metropolitan area, well, areas that were affected, both the Pentagon, of course, and the towers, and also the other plane that several heroes took over that plane and took it back from those hijackers and made sure it didn't go where it was intended to go. Heroes that were not forgotten. So 9/11 was, to say it was a big deal doesn't give it justice. It changed our lives. Um, and the thing about it for myself, I can look back on my memory. It was very eerie because I had just recently purchased an album, and I think I've said this on camera before, but I'll say it now anyway. Um, Crazy Bone, Thug on the Line, and if you've seen that album cover, and I encourage everybody to go Google that album cover, you will know why that was eerie. I purchased that album. I don't think it was maybe 12 hours. Like I was at Amoeba the night before. Like, and Amoeba closes at midnight. So I probably was there like 10:30 at night. You know what I mean? Buying this album, and and it was one of those situations where I was just feeling like, okay, I know Blueprint drops tomorrow because that was obviously a big deal. Jay Z's album was set to drop, but I was still gonna be wasting money on CDs, and I was like, I'm a big Bone Thug fan, so I'm gonna buy this album. And I looked at the cover, and the cover had what you would see as smoke coming down a street and people running. And I'm saying to myself, this cover is real messed up, but you don't think nothing of it. I've seen a bunch of messed up covers. But then, as I'm looking as all of these things are happening on CNN, I'm looking at this as the drama's unfolding, and I realize I'm seeing images that I'm also looking at in my CD cover. Like the CD's covered next to my TV, and I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm like, this is one of those situations. Just for me, that I just understood that I would never forget these things. I would never forget the correlation between that and what I had seen, and how so recently I had purchased that. You know, and I'll never forget the fact that I had one of the worst neck pains that I had up until that point. Real bad crick in my neck for sleeping wrong. And so that also was evident because I had to sit at an angle to look at the TV screen as these things were taking place to assure that I would never forget it. One of the worst neck pains in my life to go along with it. And I just remember my dad calling us with misinformation, saying that someone had flown planes into the White House and all kinds of stuff that just wasn't accurate. But when we did turn on the TV, we saw what had happened. And we just understood that the world was going to be different from that moment on. It was a lot of things to say about the situation, and questions that I have, and all these different things. But honestly, this is just a day for remembrance. It's not really a day for questioning. I think there will be days in the future where we will revisit what took place there, and we will talk about conspiracies or maybe other things that may be on our minds, but not today. Not today. I think today is a day we just look back and remember those who were lost, remember those who were heroes, people who ran toward the danger, firefighters and police officers and just regular citizens, people who were just intent on helping in a situation where all hands were needed on deck. So, I think about the NYFD and the NYPD and just how strong they stood together, and how much I remember that. I'm very fortunate to have lived through some things. Being 38 years of age, in this particular age range, we were able to get a good taste of the internet and enjoy it now to where we know enough about it to be fully in it, but to also remember a world before it and the transition into it. And 9/11 was a big part of that for me, like to look back on my life in the moments that really, really matter. That was one of them, definitely one of them. So yeah, I just also remember not going to school, didn't go to school that day, and I don't remember if I went to school the next day either, but the world was so apprehensive. We did not know what to expect. We didn't know if there were going to be more attacks. And given the fact that we lived in Los Angeles, we figured if there were an attack somewhere, it might be here. But, fortunately enough, that was not what was going on. But unfortunately enough, we did follow that up with a war that just lasted for as long as this has, because we just left there last year. So, when we think about the whole situation and just how bad it turned out, all that was lost, it wasn't just 9/11. It was the war that took place because of 9/11, and all the loss from that as well. So I think about that, and I just understand that we've come a long way, but we also have to stay on guard because we do have enemies. We do have people who would love to see something like that occur again, and who will put together whatever they can to assure that they do so. It is very much a privilege to be here in regards to having our military and those who are in position to stop those things from happening. Can't stop everything, of course, but we know we're equipped to do better because of what took place, the changes that took place with how we travel and how they handle the airports and things of that nature. It's very unfortunate, but we do learn from situations such as these. We do. It takes something like this sometimes to get us as sharp as we need to be. I'd like to think that we can anticipate things a bit better going forward. I hope so, anyway. So that is what I have to say, man. I wish I could have more of a positive outlook in regards to this, but I actually remember it. I'm one of those people that actually remember it. So the only thing I can honestly say is events like that brought us together. And you could clearly see the spirit of New York in that situation. Gained a whole lot of respect for that region when you saw those people came together and truly rebuilt their city. And, that's just what it's about. That's what it's about. My name is BDF44. Thank you all for watching.